Welcome to the Labyrinth. I'm your host, Pratham Padav. My guest today is Darryl D'Souza from Candolim, Goa. He's a practitioner of integrative natural medicine, and he's the author of the book Become Healthy or Extinct. He's also an organic farmer and environmentalist. Welcome to the Labyrinth, Darryl. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you, Pratham. Happy to be here and share whatever I can that you and your audience are interested in the area of health and you know uh, uh, maybe food, farming, environment. That's the different types of work that I do.
Yes. So, Darryl, how did you grow an interest in natural medicine?
So yes, in fact, I was forced into it to save my own life. You see, I come from a engineering background, and it was in the middle of engineering that I got sick for the first time in 1990, and I was doing my engineering in Pune that time, living in a private hostel. So the first up till that time I had never fallen sick in my life. I had no illnesses or occurrence of any disease, but I due to sleeping on the literally on the floor without a mattress and all of that, just with some thick corduroy curtains and a sleeping bag, which I thought was something that I could do. And in Pune that year in the winter, it went down to 6 degrees. Normally Pune will go down to about 8 degrees, but that year it was especially cold. And for 4 months, I slept like that on the floor because it was in a new place where I was getting rent for cheaper, and there was no furniture. So I kind of went for cheaper furniture and I mean cheaper rent, and save that money, and I used to put it in my bike and roam around a little more. So during those younger days, you have all those different kind of uh, you know ideas, and well, it resulted in the chill getting into my lungs, and I came down with very severe pneumonia because I was coughing blood and I could not breathe. So when the doctor was called in emergency, at somewhere at night at 10:15, um, he saw my condition and told my mother that he's not going to live till the morning. Went back, opened up his hospital, and brought some steroid injections and pumped them into me. And I guess after that, I was on kind of allopathic medicines for pneumonia for maybe 20 days, and that's how I survived. But I didn't realize at that time, that this kind of medications, they cure you, but they create organ weaknesses over the long term. So well, that got fixed, and then a few years after that, I came down with an amoebic infection, like bacteria infection in my small intestines after drinking mountain water for about 2 days continuously. Then just after that, drinking the water, I got fever, and by the third day, I was having loose motions.
Where
So
was this mountain water coming from?
yeah, so I used to live at that time. My engineering was in Pune, but I used to still live in Mumbai. And after engineering got over in 90, a couple of years after that, after starting my engineering work life, some of six of us engineering friends from Pune and Bombay. We came down to Goa, stayed at my ancestral home for a week, and then I took them to my favorite locations. To the beach, the mountain top, then deep into the forest. So that mountain water was in the forest, and it was rainy season that time. Now, uh, my whole family, whenever we used to come down for vacation to Goa in the summer, we used to drink that mountain water, which was mineral water. And it's on the mountain side with a kind of a big black rock that's got an opening, and the water starts coming out from there. And there are small spring fishes in them. It's crystal clear. Then the people have, put this laterite stones, and there's a place you can have a bath. Then the overflow goes into another tank, and there are still fishes and frogs and small snakes in that overflow tank, and then goes down the mountain. So a nice place. But when I went there with my friends, we went in the monsoons. So I didn't realize that the mountain water is also seeping into that, from the sides of the hill. Um, and of course, that I didn't realize has got the even the urine of the foxes, wild boars, rats and raccoons and snakes and whatever you have. Um, and so I went and filled, 2 bottles of that water, 2-liter bottles and all. And then I asked my friends to drink it, but they had never done this before in their life, so they kind of backed off. I said, "No way, we are coming in the middle of nowhere and having this water," so they didn't touch it. And well, that's how I got the amoebiasis. And then after the antibiotics for a week or something, I was doing okay. But then I was working as a project engineer, you see, in different parts of India, uh, going to sites that were far away from the city. So quite often I would eat at dhabas, or drink tap water, and the infection started coming back because of all this. So I became a chronic case of amoebiasis, and every month I would have loose motions, and after a couple of years it started with blood in my stool and anal fissure. So then I completely became a consumer of allopathic antibiotics, and so that went on for a few years, and then it got worse, and it became amoebic colitis, which is when it reaches your large intestine, colon also, and infects it. So I used to have this phenomenon which is called irritable bowel syndrome, and this infection, sometimes loose motions. Then I would take the medication, I would be okay for some time. And through all of this, I even started developing fungal growth in my intestines. And this happens when you take a lot of antibiotics regularly, and most of your good bacteria gets killed. But the bad bacteria, which are more virulent, they survive antibiotics. And there are a lot of vacant spaces in the, in the folds of the intestine, in the microvilli, where the good colonies die, and then pathogenic uh, bacteria or fungus can grow. So that started happening with me. And the resultant of that was in a couple of years, then I started getting skin allergies also. Many people don't know that things like eczema and psoriasis, they come from toxins that are in your bloodstream, but which are the excretion of too much of bad bacteria or fungi or overgrowth of yeast, inside your microbiome. Because everything that eats food, and it eats your food, right? It has got to excrete something. So when they excrete it, it goes into the bloodstream along with the digested food, and that comes in your blood. So the blood will, you sweat, and then the sweat brings the toxins on the skin. So I went through very severe bouts of skin allergies, which I had to resort to allopathic suppressants, tablets to take care of it. The medication used to make me drowsy, and at a point I used to had needed to have 2 doses a day, um, one at night along with dinner, which used to kind of knock me out, give me deep sleep. I couldn't get up without an alarm. And then I would still be groggy in my office, even though I reached at 9 o'clock till 11 o'clock, I would be in a daze. And then I had to have that tablet again at 2 o'clock at lunchtime. Again, I would fall asleep, after an hour. So it became quite impossible to work as well. And my skin allergies were so bad that if I didn't get my medication on time, I would scratch off my skin and make wounds on my body. So I would always wear long sleeves and not show the scars on my body. Got so bad that I couldn't even eat food without a lot of inflammation and irritation in my gums. I couldn't wear footwear because they would irritate and itch my legs. I couldn't sit on a normal chair because the undersides of my thighs would be itching. and my pathetic state in by the time it was 2004, and I was 34 years at that time. Uh, I could only survive by sitting with Bermuda shorts on my bed, which had an 8-inch, uh, soft mattress. So literally, I had to give up work and sit at home like a vegetable, even getting frustrated after eating every meal. And by that time, my digestive system and colon got so inflamed that I became a, you know, uh, first patient of first degree piles, then second degree piles, and then after a couple of years, third degree piles, which is permanent blisters on the anus that you cannot even sit down, because if they burst, all blood will start coming out and you need to go to the operation theater. Otherwise, you can bleed to death.
Daryl, what were you eating during this time?
So during this time, I would be on the regular food. As a Catholic, you are eating non-vegetarian stuff, food twice a day or thrice a day. I would would remember days when we would have meat or fish in all the four meals. For example, at breakfast we would have mince with bread, and then with lunch we would have something with fish, and then evening tea time would have some mutton patties, and for dinner again we would have some beef chili fry and all of that. So I was a very heavy non-vegetarian at that time, and so somewhere near in 2004, I had to have an operation for my third degree piles, because basically when you cannot sit down, right, that's a permanent condition. So I had to be operated. So at the age of 34, I was having destroyed digestive tract and illnesses that a 60-year-old person has. So, well, at that point, like I said, my allergies were so bad that I thought, ending my life was the only sane thing. Because, you have to understand that I went through 14 years, right, from 1990 to 2004. So 14 years of, progressive worse, from bad to worse suffering. And though I started with allopathy, um, then I even tried for about 2.5 to 3 years. I tried Ayurveda in between. Then that also didn't work for me. Then I went to homeopathy for 2 years, and that didn't work. Then I went to the so-called miraculous healers who had cured many people of illnesses, and half dead people would come alive with their treatments and stuff. So I went to healers also, and unfortunately, my condition they could not heal. Then somebody told me, nobody can heal you. You have to heal yourself. So it was in the year 2000 that I got initiated in Reiki. That's a hands-on, energy healing system. So I was trying Reiki for about 6 months on myself. Pretty, committed. I used to do 1.5 hour of it in the morning before going to work. And when I would come back in the evening, again 1.5 hour of it before dinner. And still my allergies wouldn't, go down. In fact, they would keep on progressing, because first I started with the medication, one tablet once a week. Then it became once in 5 days, then once in 3 days, then one every alternate day, then once a day, then twice a day. So by that measure, I could make out. You see, my illness was getting worse. And so coming to, this was November 2004, where I was at the brink of, I said, I had enough of this. I've tried everything in the world, and, nothing works. And wanted to kind of end my life, but just to my good luck, in a couple of days when I made that decision, after a couple of days, a neighbor of mine saw me in my in the building, because I'm just sitting out in the veranda, and he's saying, I've been seeing you at home, you're not going to work, so what is it? I said, yeah, I'm very sick and I can't do many things. So then he told me that he said, I know a person who was, he's a there on Hill Road, that's in Bandra West. That's where I was staying. His name is Ashwin Dalal. He's a retired textile engineer, but he treats people with some herbs and something called acupressure, where you press different points in the body, which are on the hand. and you can get healed of things. You can heal your organs. So I had never heard of something like acupressure and pressing any points on your hand that could heal you. So I thought maybe it's something ridiculous. You see, I didn't want to go at first, but then I just thought of it that I have no other option in life, and if I have to go and see some chap, then I'll go and see. Right? So I went over there, plonked myself in front of him for 1 hour. I gave him the entire story of my life with the names of the doctors and the treatments and everything in the world that didn't work. And he also replied, he said, yes, your case is so complex that even, I'm not very clear about all the things that are wrong with you. But he did this acupressure diagnosis and he told me that there's weakness in your liver, in your stomach, in your pancreas, in your kidneys, in your most of the organs of my body. And I was, this is not good news for me, obviously. But he said, it doesn't matter. Whatever the case is, I will give you some treatment and teach you something. You go home and do it, and you'll get cured. So just because he was, very senior and very nice, calm composition, um, I thought, this is ridiculous what he's saying that you're going to get cured. I was just looking for some relief. But I said, okay, just to give him respect, I said, okay, tell me what it is to be done, and I'll do it. So another 1 hour, he explained to me stuff, and I got some program for the day, and it was using certain herbs at some time in the morning, boiling them in water, and doing certain things, and then pressing these acupressure points twice a day. And so I went home and I started doing them. And it was on the third day. Okay, on the third day, I realized that at night, when it was time for my night dose, I was not feeling that itchy on my skin. So I said, hey, maybe I don't need the tablet tonight, so I didn't take that tablet. Until the next morning, I was okay. And then coming to lunchtime, I started feeling itchy again. So I took my afternoon dose. And I continued with this acupressure. And within 1 week, on the seventh or eighth day, I skipped both the doses, afternoon and the night dose. So that way, I kept on doing this, and my medication became alternate day, then once in 3 days, once in 5 days, once a week, once in 10 days, then 15 days. And it just, went away. My condition, my allergies went away completely within 6 months. And that was the greatest trauma for me at that time. My digestive system also started improving a little bit because the herbs were, detoxifying my blood. Now, the reason why I was having weaknesses in all these organs was because this infection in my gut, it is creating toxins that were going in the blood, and you see, and that blood, toxic blood, was going to all my organs. So obviously, my organs would be get weak. So so within 6 months, the allergies went down, and I was very thankful to him. And then I just realized, I said, this do-it-yourself system, that this man just taught me in 2 hours, right? It's more amazing than all of the modern medicines, right? This is like a miracle. So I could not just give up that, and I said, please, I'm going to come back to you, and I want to learn this entire system. So I went back, and he used to give me classes, private classes, 2 3 hours, um, and then I used to go back again. So I did that for about 6 months, and under his guidance, I learned completely thoroughly the system that was developed by Dr. Devendra Bora, uh, called Health in Your Hands. He had a volume one, volume two. The volume one was for all the major chronic illnesses, and volume two were the serious illnesses like muscular dystrophy, cancer, meningitis, brain tumor, all of those things, polio. So I learned all of this under him, and then I started, trying to help because it was a great system. I started helping my next door neighbor, the household help, and all. The lady, she was one of my first patients, the household help, and she got this pain in her, right hand side, and she went to the hospital. They told her it was kidney stones, and she was going to get an operation for it in 3 4 days. And I just checked her acupressure points, and I said, "No, you have an appendix infection. It's not a kidney stone. You see." And even if there is a kidney stone, it can be dissolved by this herbal tree treatment. So I just gave her the acupressure points for the this appendix and started her on that tea. Actually, when we started the acupressure on her appendix, her pain went in 1 day itself. So with acupressure you can diagnose that the organs that are weak. So pain went in 1 2 days itself, and she was fine. Then I said, anyway, in the sonography, if they picked up some small stones, you can have this kidney cleanse, and she did that, and she recovered completely. So I started treating friends and family and all of that, and that's how my practice wellness health practice began. And then in my own condition, I was very thin at that time, and as I was improving myself, when I was treating people, I could see that if they did this, treatment system, they would get better. Like somebody's blood pressure was 180, it will come down to like 120 or 115, 110, and they would continue this kind of treatment for about 2 3 months, and then they would stop it after that, because I used to tell them, once your acupressure points don't pain, you don't need to do it more. So they would stop the acupressure. Then there was no need for them to take those herbal, detoxing things. So they would stop. And then, but by the fourth or fifth month, that person with 110, 1.5 blood pressure would go again to 130. You see, so they would come back to me that, you see, it's coming back. Then I knew one thing very clearly. I said, once the human body is healed, it is healed. Now, it can only become sick if you do something wrong to it. And then I started analyzing my patients, five, six, seven, eight of them, as time was going by. And I realized that a similar thing was happening to them. And then when I sat down to think, what am I not con- in control of in their lives? And I realized it's the food, you see, the food that they are eating. I had never given them any food restrictions and all of that. So then I started analyzing food more. And when I got into the depth of it, then I realized how foods can make you sick, which are the wrong foods and how they make you sick, how they cause high BP, cholesterol, diabetes, all of that. And then I started working on diet and nutrition. I kind of thought I should go and get a nutritionist course from somewhere, and then I spoke to some friends who had done nutrition, and when I would talk to them in detail, I would see that they would also miss certain things in nutrition that I learned from experience and through what I call the laws of nature. And I said that no, these guys are good with nutrition, but it's like 90%. 10% fundamental certain principles are being missed. See, so then I left that alone. I went deeper into food research like a scientist, doing all experiments myself and my patients also. And as I improved their diet, they would also get better. So then I formulated this system, which I call integrative natural medicine. And after 5 years of that practice and learning with my patients and helping everybody, uh, within a year itself, my diet, as it improved, all my IBS and all went away. And uh, so from 2005 to 2010, I did all of this work, and I came up with an integrative natural medicine practice, what I call, and that I put in my book, in 2011, called Become Healthier Extinct. So the components that I put in the first edition, and then after a few editions, I started adding some more components. Well, the main thing was diet and nutrition. Then the second big thing was acupressure for diagnosing weak organs and healing weak organs as well. Then the third line was herbs, how to use herbs for healing. Then the fourth was, lifestyle changes. Then the fifth was mainly to do with exercise, mobility, and avoiding certain things in your home. Um, then the next was therapy that I formulated, and I called it the 5 elements therapy. It depends on the five elements of nature. There's a very deep science to it, which is connected with nutrition. Um, So if you get more of the etheric elements as nutrition, then you need less of physical food. Uh, and by coming from nature and from village and from the jungles into these concrete boxes, you see where we wear footwear, where we don't let the sun in our on our body every day, where we live in air conditioned environment, where the tap water that we use and put through all our filters, the tap water is dead water because it's got chlorine in it and it's got no living probiotic bacteria. So, so all of those changes have made the city person need more physical food because you don't get the energetic food. Um, so I started, these are the principles that I couldn't find in any nutritional college. You see, so I found it necessary to put it into the book. And then I have another chapter called the natural health therapy, which I formulated a four-step therapy, which you should use in your healing phase. And so the first phase is details about what are the things you should not subject your body to in terms of food and habits. So it's stop doing the wrong things, and there's a list of all of these things. The next thing is you start introducing the right foods and the right habits into your body, into your life. Then the third step is you use natural healing techniques like yoga, pranayam, mudras, acupressure, acupuncture, exercise also. And that I've made a distinction between energy push systems and energy pull systems. Okay, so uh, I've not come across books that talk about this as well, but I can write of all of these things because I work like a scientist and do very deep experiments. So exercise is a pull system, meaning that you take the body into a cycle of fatigue. So your energy will drop down at certain time, and then in its effort to repair the body, it will pull in more nutrients and rebuild your system. Okay, but something like acupressure, you're just sitting over there and you're pushing energy into your body. So with an energy pull system, there's a probability that this guy who's got a heart condition, if he does too much of walking or if he does too much of treadmill, right, he could have an attack over there because he's reached his limit and you're taking his energy down. But a person like that would never suffer in acupressure because wherever you enter with acupressure, acupressure will take you up to the next level. Even one day of acupressure on your critical organs will kind of if you're going to have a heart attack tomorrow and you do acupressure today, it's going to push the heart attack ahead by a week, you see. And then as you do it for more days or 15 days, then you kind of push it out of your life. So yeah, so that was the third step of the therapy. And sorry, that is the fourth step. The third step is how do you detox your organs that have got toxicities in them, which came from the first step. The first step where you put the wrong foods and wrong things, habits into your body. They created certain permanent toxicities and substances within your liver, your kidneys, your pancreas, your intestine, the colon, all of that. So though you switch from bad things to good things in the first and second step, there are some toxicities that do not come out easily. So the third step is using herbal detoxes to clean out all these different areas of your body, different organs. And then the fourth is this energy, exercise, acupressure, whatever you want to do. So, um, so that's been my contribution for the healing phase. You see, so I put all of these things together, and I call it natural medicine because all of these things are natural. You see, they're not of man-made chemicals. Uh, and even in exercise, I don't favor gym kind of setup. I favor natural body movements and natural exercises using body weight and all of that resistance. So um, and doing natural body movements that humans have been doing for thousands of years, right? In the gym, you'll find that they're doing certain movements which we have not been doing for thousands of years. So that in turn creates certain problems in the elbow, certain tears and certain things, and some problems for the knees, some problems for the back, some problems for the neck. So even with exercise, I'm into natural exercise.
Natural. Okay.
So
Yeah. This.
so that's how I finally, went through all this journey, put all of this in my book, and once I put the book out, then I started doing this work professionally. In those 5 years, you see, from 2005 to 2010, I used to treat people only on the weekends, when I had holidays, Saturday, Sundays. And then after 2010, I gave up my engineering, industrial engineering work completely. And 2011, I left, 10, I left Bombay. I came to my ancestral home back in Goa. And I wrote my book in 2011. I was seeing patients here also. And once the book was done and out, I went professional in 2012 doing workshops, to which were teaching people how to reverse chronic illnesses with integrative natural medicine. And I used to do that in different cities, mainly the metro cities across India. And after about 4 5 years, then I realized that I used to talk so much about healthy food and natural food and organic food, and people were asking me, where do you get this? And that's what prompted me to become an organic farmer in 2015. So I took that up in a couple of years. I quickly learned that you really can't do the great job with organic farming if your water is not of the good quality. You should not be using any piped water from the municipality because of the chlorine and all of that, and no life water. And you can use groundwater, well water. Farming practices were bad, and the water table is going down. So we had to get into rainwater harvesting and organic soil and the kind of sunlight. So it got me connected again. My effort to do proper organic, local, seasonal food. It got me into topics of environment, and that's how my work went into environment also. So I was teaching also people through a group whatever organic farming I had learned, and so then I formed this platform called Earth Keepers Connect, where people were interested in health, food, farming, and environment. Uh, in different cities, wherever I went and taught, people, or I met colleagues, in these fields in about 10 of the Indian metro cities, like Bombay, Delhi, Pune, Goa, uh, Calcutta, Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, all of that. I started making teams, and through WhatsApp and all, people started, sharing all of that. Then I created a website also at keepersconnect.com. And through this work in 2019, I curated, the New Earth Summit. And the tagline was India's first integrative summit to solutions for our problems in health, food. Health was mind, body, spirit, wellness. Prior to that, actually, from 2012 to 2017, I was only into mind, body, spirit, wellness, and I was working with the World United as the secretary of one of their wings, the Doctors and Healers Association. There, I convened four of the mind, body, spirit conferences. So I used to work a lot with doctors because it was merging all of these things. Even we had doctors uh, trying to bring clinical diagnosis into the integrated system, and they've also opened to natural healing and natural medicine. So we had doctors, healers, therapists, working together. During those years, I created these groups on Facebook also, healers and therapists in Goa, Mumbai, Delhi, all of those things to promote integrative natural medicine. And so I got out of that position, the World United, in end of 2017. And then I continued with my own organization in 2019, 18 itself. Um, and then we hosted the New Earth Summit. So it was India's first integrative summit for solution to our problems in health, food, farming and environment. Environment also meant that, natural homes, uh, then all of those rainwater harvesting, natural sewage systems, recycling, type. And so that's been my journey and, where I'm at right now. Showcase, how those solutions can be applied on a place. We are trying to do like a eco village here in Goa, over 500 acres. uh, to just show how those natural designs can have a more holistic and organic, self-sufficient community, you see, which does not have any of the problems of these concrete cities that we have. Um, for example, I'll just tell you that just take one aspect, that is the sewage system in the cities, right? Everything that you flush down your toilet and all goes through big pipes and sewers through the city till it comes out into the sea. And there it is going to the seabed, and as it goes more and more 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kilometers, it's getting the marine plankton, you see, as it goes into the sea. So uh, 70% of the oxygen on this planet is made by marine plankton, and the forests make only 30% of it. And so the sewage system is, slowly killing oxygen on the planet. Compared to that, if you go to our the New Earth Summit website, the newearthsummit.com, you will see in 2019 and 2020 how we presented experts who are doing these works and these projects where all the gray water and black water from your house, uh, that is, toilet and bathroom and all of that kitchen water, how it is recycled with natural microbes, and then it is just recirculated to all your plants, where they get very highly nutritious, mineralized water, and they grow much better than with ordinary water. So so in this, and that the piping system is just about 1 foot below the ground, the delivery of the pipes to the plants. You can grow fruiting trees, you can grow vegetables, you can grow flowering trees all around your property. And this water that goes to the plants also doesn't go more than about a 1.5 meter into the soil. Okay, so it doesn't contaminate your water aquifer. That means your well water system and all that, it's not going to contaminate it, because well water is at least about 5 meters. You see, so this is a system where you are consuming water, you're dirting it, but you're recycling it, and it does not contaminate the earth anyway. And this can be done in standalone houses. It can be done in complexes also, because the presenter who has patented this model also very worked for many years on making it perfect. Captain uh, yeah, Joseph. So he has done a colony with 1,500 flats too. So it can be done for society. So just this one example of uh, the difference between how life is in the city, what damage it does to the entire planet, and how that can be neutralized if you live in a home, or if you live in nature where you have some land and not concrete everywhere and tarred roads.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm now focusing on that, looking at the models that we live in and the damage it's causing to our life and to the environment and the planet, and what are the changes we need to do so that we can neutralize all of those and have a better, healthier, more organic life in nature, with more arts and community and open learning or experiential learning systems. uh, yeah, so I
that
participate in all of those activities.
your community seems like a dream place, especially in today's time where everyone lives isolated in their own cities, especially because of lockdowns. And your story of self healing is very fascinating. First, you started healing yourself, then you started healing your neighbors, and then you decided to heal the food system itself, which is very systematically broken. And then you decided to heal the environment through New Earth Summit. After listening to your story of how you healed yourself, the question that comes to my mind is, do you think to some extent our big pharmaceutical industry and allopathic industries have misled us?
Um, so some people, I mean, with the result that you see in the world today, right? Anybody can understand that's a system that has not worked for a long time. But I go back to the time where, over 100 years back, where all of the modern allopathic pill, a pill for every ill, that kind of system started. And I can very clearly see that it was business, you see, business. So at that point of time, and even before 100 years before, earlier than that, we started having a deviation from a natural life and then what we call civilized and modern. Okay, so these and this were the indigenous people who are still there in the world in different forests, and whether you call them the aborigines or you call them the red Indians. I mean, most of the territories are taken over now, but there are still like Adivasis you can call, or tribals in India you can call, right? Uh, they are still living good lives, very nice, organic, zero carbon footprint. Uh, they have their arts, their culture, their education system that is good enough for their lives, right? Their lives are complete. So we started having a deviation of certain people who said that we want to make something different, and the deviation happened. And these people started building like learning institutes and colleges and certain, doing experiments in laboratories, right? But unwisely, they started disconnecting themselves from the living system, from a living ecosystem. And they were doing experiments in an isolated system. So when you do that, you get wrong results. So this modern allopathy came out like that, with people wanting to control health. That is, yeah, people are sick, so people are getting back pain and they're getting indigestion and they're getting headaches. Why don't we make some pills, right? And if we are going to do that, and we are going to set up people and machines to do that, then what is the we should get profit out of it, right? So they made certain things, medicine, started patenting them so that they could make their profits, and that's how it started, mainly with a business angle. And somehow in that business angle, they formulated a system where, I mean, if you made inorganic medicine, you see, I worked in pharma industry myself for a couple of years, where I've seen the formulation of medicine. So they take natural substances, and most of medicine comes from plants. So the starting components will either be the seed of a plant, or the root, or a grain, or a leaf, or a fruit, okay, uh, or the bark, and certain healing components will be taken, and they'll be extracted from it, put in a very compact form. But in the manufacturing process, that organic molecule, it becomes inorganic. It results in a molecule that never existed on this planet before. And the human body is 100% organic system, ecosystem, built by all organic things from nature. So now you're putting an inorganic foreign material that the human body has never seen into it. You have some targeted result that it's going to give you, because it's going to block some receptors, so your headache is going to go away, right? It'll deal with your nervous system in a certain way, delivering that thing to your blood, to your nervous system, and your headache is going to go away. But in the long term, that is going to make your kidneys weak or your liver weak, because they are inorganic substances. So with the result that people said, oh, well, wow, headache, pill to get away my headache, let me start popping it because it's so easy. But if we asked you to, not eat too much acidic food, that's such a pain. Why I want to have a lot of booze, I want to eat a lot of meat, right? I want to do that. And instead of that, I can do that in the way I'll take a pill and I'll be fine the next day. So people started opting for that. And then it got a little worse. Uh, and the design of the system was it would never cure you see. So because if something cured the person, then they would not come back. If one pill cured you, you would never go back and buy the next pill, and that whole that pill industry would collapse. You see. So all this was designed with a business interest, that how can we make people coming back to us. If we cure the problem, completely from its root, then they're not going to come back to us. So let's just take away their symptoms of headache, of indigestion, of excess weight, whatever it is. And that's how this allopathic medicine system came along. And in the bargain, it's been 100 years that all of us have been paying for these medicines every week, different things. And after you take, for example, BP medication for 3 4 years, you will see that your kidneys are getting weak. Then you'll have to take kidney medicines. So if you start with one pill, after 5 6 years, you ended up with 4 pills. And so it's more and more money for the system. And now these people are known across the world as big pharma mafia. you know we made them big by giving them all our money, by not being smart and say, let me go back to correcting my diet, let me go to my village and see what are my village cures, you know let me go to a herbal medicine man. Instead of doing all of that, we chose to make them the $1 trillion industry in the world, who has built such laws in courts that prevent them from being sued and so many things, right? Money can give you all of this, because when you got a big business, then all you think of is, and you got liabilities, right? So you got to make money to do that. So it's become a machine that only knows how to make money and get money from people and sustain itself. And I just bring people, to the current realization, because now I've been in natural medicine since 15 years, and I've been helping people reverse all of this high BP, cholesterol, diabetes, and thrown away their medicines, right? They're living medicine free lives. And I'm sure before me also there have been people. But I can see across the globe over the last 20 years, integrative natural medicine practitioners have been giving people the right diet, herbs, exercise, and all, getting them off these pills. So, what does that show you? That shows you that you never needed that pill in the first place, right? You These people are taking the medicines have realized that the medicine doesn't cure me. Yes, I know. It's like a life support system. I have to take it for the rest of my life. So the first realization some of them have, that it's non-curative. But only when they do some of these natural therapies and they get rid of their medicines, then the light bulb comes on. Oh my God, I was taking that for 7 8 years, and my body doesn't really need it. Okay. So it's little late after 100 years for people to realize that they have been fooled, right?
Yes.
And we have to understand it's the same big
Um,
mafia, pharma mafia, who are bringing out the vaccines and all of this treatment, right? So the first point is, how can you trust some people who have duped you for the last 100 years? Now, this realization only medicine free people who are on medicine and they're getting free of medicine, they have realized. Okay, we know it. Now, some of our patients know it, but the rest of the world, everybody in the world today who's popping an allopathic medicine, whether it's for high BP, hormonal imbalance, okay, back pain, headache, sinusitis, whatever you have, infertility, right? Uh, these are the people who are the victims of this kind of a system, and they have not understood what is health and how to reverse illnesses. And unfortunately, they are the people who have taken all the vaccines, believing this, damn thing.
and they're no different from drug addicts in a way.
Hmm. Yeah. And unfortunately, today, these are the people who are telling great scientists and people like us, and I call even the people who have used natural medicine and cured themselves, they've cured their family members and all, right? They know more about health and healing than the average doctor in the world, because the doctor, the MBBS doctor, doesn't know why you get diabetes. They just say it's stress, but that's not the case. Everybody has got stress, right? They don't know why you get diabetes. They don't know why you get hormonal imbalance. They don't understand why you put on weight just by. It's not that you're not exercising, right? People who don't exercise at all, if they have a right diet, they don't put on weight. So it's not the thing that you're putting on weight because you're sedentary. It's not that you're getting diabetes because you are stressed. Everybody's got stress, right? So this is the fact where the allopathic doctor does not even understand why the illness happens, right? And they don't have the next part of it is how to cure. So the only thing they give you is the pill. I'm not trying to say doctors are bad people. They are our brothers and sisters, and all from our family. But they have gone and learned a system that is non-curative. Whose
Agreed.
mistake is that? Their own families would have told them that there is traditional medicine and village medicine, but they wanted to make. Perhaps they thought village medicine is not going to make me so much money. I have to sit and grind herbs and all of that.
Yes.
Better than that is I just get some smart pills, put on a nice suit, sit in an air-conditioned office. So some people thought they can heal the world like that. So they are good people, but they have learned a non-curative system.
Agreed. Yes.
Right? And few doctors are there who have come out of that and start using yoga, exercise, and started inviting people to have changed their diets. And now you have functional medicine, which is the integrative medicine. So many of the allopathic MBBS doctors are shifting to functional medicine because even it pricks them also after a certain point of time. I have been doing all of this work and doling out these medicines, but I've not been curing anybody. I've just been taking away their symptoms. So of course, taking away symptoms also is one kind of help. But if you can do better, then it's good, yeah, right? You can heal people. So yeah, so these so through our integrative conferences and all, always the progressive doctors have come to it, to merge and try to understand. We merge modern medicine diagnostics along with the complementary medicine with the alternative medicine and the ancient healing sciences, and it's mind body spirit medicine. So so this is where we are today, where it's only the people who have used natural medicine and cured themselves. They know how to keep their immunity high, and they know that this whatever virus is going around is not harmful, and they know how to heal it. Even I had COVID for a week in May, and just with the right amount of rest, right type of electrolytes, coconut water, orange vitamin C, orange juice, and having uh, supplements like zinc, uh, vitamin D. Now I don't need vitamin D because my levels are good. I go out in the sun. But my mom also, who's 82 years, she also went through the severe COVID symptoms. She was so fatigued that for 3 days she could not stand or walk, and she could not even talk. So forget eating food. So she was on liquid diet and all of that, green smoothies. Then acupressure also helped, and a simple breathing technique also helped. And we came out of it. I came out within 1 week. She came out within 16 days. Just self isolation, do a natural, treatment. And now we have the right antibodies that are scientifically they are stronger and they last longer than any vaccine made antibodies. Now we can see what's happening in the world, that so many people are taking vaccines, and some of them are getting serious side effects because of that spike protein and all of that. That is creating blood clots and bleeding disorders, nervous system disorders, paralysis, brain stroke, heart attack. My friend died after the first dose of vaccine within 12 days. A healthy friend in Goa. He died of brain stroke after 2 days of being diagnosed with blood clots.
Sad. That's very sad.
So this is important. I mean, all the people who follow natural medicine, nature cure, okay, and naturopathy and functional medicine, or even the Ayush protocol for COVID, or there's also a nice NICE protocol which is called three-step flu diet by Dr. Biswaroop Roy Chowdhury. People are having amazing results with natural medicine. Okay, and I do not see a person who's unvaccinated or had didn't have COVID, or a person who got COVID and cured themselves naturally, right? Uh, they do not get any of these symptoms that post vaccination people are dying of. Okay, we know clearly if you're dying of COVID, what are the COVID symptoms? We know it. It is first you will have body temperature, then you'll have aches and pains in your joints, then you'll lose your taste and smell, then you'll have dry cough, you'll have a lung problem. Okay, some serious cases will have diarrhea. Okay, and extreme fatigue. Okay, so these are the known symptoms of COVID. And so people like me who went through this, and now we are not having any of those symptoms anymore because we have immune system has fought it. And uh, people who did not go through this and are still unvaccinated, none of this category of people are having bleeding disorders, blood clots, nervous system disorders, premenstrual bleeding or heavy menstrual bleeding, eye problems, hair fall, excessive hair fall, paralysis, right? So this none of unvaccinated or naturally cured people are having any of this post. But we can only see this happening with the people who are getting vaccines. Now, if the common man can have common sense, then he should understand what this means.
I
So,
agree. But people are still opposed to these kind of opinions. They will say that, oh, these people, they have vaccine hesitancy. They push this kind of opinion to the corner. And when I look at what is happening right now, it's not a very serious thing. It has a survival rate of more than 99.5%. It's a small disease
yes,
which was enlarged by the media. And the real pandemic is actually obesity and diabetes, because most people who are dying from COVID-19 also have things like obesity, diabetes, and other
yes,
metabolic disorders. When do you think we
yes.
will start focusing on the real pandemic?
In India, apparently, the number of people who die of TB is much more than, the whole COVID thing, right? Just from one illness. So that's what people are saying. If the government is so bothered, they should work on this diabetes and TB and other kind of illnesses. Now, I just want to bring to your notice one thing this word, okay? Vaccine hesitancy. Who has made this word? Was it discovered or made by an Indian, an American? Have you heard of any scientist bring out this word vaccine hesitancy? It just came out of the system, okay? So now what is this? They are applying it on whom? The people who are not taking the vaccine now are the most researched people. They know how to keep their health and fight COVID without taking this vaccine. So they are practitioners of health. They are very well researched people. They are very scientific people. Okay. And because of their knowledge and they are seeing the picture of what's going on, they are seeing this big pharma mafia getting their next business model out. Okay. Which is basically making every human being take their medicine 4 times a year. Okay. Earlier with allopathic and chronic illnesses, people would not fall sick, right, till 18, 20, 22 and all. You don't need allopathic medicine till you're 25. So this business machine could only get money from people from the time they're 25, 26 or 30 till they're dead, right? But now with natural medicine curing so many people, right, the incomes of these big companies are falling and they are trying to become bigger and bigger. So now they made a business model where they can get money from every human being by giving these vaccines 4 times a year. So that is the business part of it, right? But now you can already see what is playing out. People are taking the vaccines and having side effects that unvaccinated people are not having. Okay. So, and really weird things which has nothing to do with, like a lung, this organism that goes and disturbs your lung. Yeah. That damages your lungs. So, this word is coined and it's come out of nowhere from this industry, vaccine hesitancy, to just point a finger at those people who are, not taking the vaccine. But the reality is the exact opposite. Those people who know nothing about medicine are just too scared, do not have the confidence to do any research, have never cured themselves of anything and are so scared that this virus, a small blinking virus, is going to kill them. Out of complete ignorance, they have gone and taken the vaccine, right? So they are the not they have no research and no competence in the field of health. And so this is the irony. It's coming out now. People are slowly understanding because from the vaccines, the results that they are receiving, the vaccinated people, and how sick they are falling, and they're calling it different, variants of the virus. But you do not see any different variants of the virus happening to unvaccinated people and people who have cured themselves naturally from COVID. Um, so, so that's this vaccine hesitancy. It is a word coined by the system, and it's a fake application on those people who know the most and really have the competence to get through this without any vaccine.
And what is your opinion on COVID measures like PCR tests, lockdowns, and mandatory masking?
Yeah, the research is, coming out more and more in evidence also. So I've been, working even in uh, the area of sickness like a scientist, just like I was doing along with nutrition. And the PCR test itself, I'll just, even the RAT test, okay? The PCR and RAT test, they take fragments of the virus. That means they have not found a whole piece of virus till now. And that fragment is common to many other coronaviruses. They take a fragment of that virus and then they are matching it with a whole genomic sequence of the complete virus. But that whole genomic sequence is made by a computer. It is not the whole genomic sequence of a complete coronavirus that they have isolated till date. Okay, and so still technically, scientifically, there is no proof of them kind of isolating the complete virus. Uh, and so both the RAT also takes a sample from your nose and then it, uh, uh, is put on a strip the way it gets colored, which according to them, the dye that is there, it matches the protein of the virus. But when you have never isolated the complete virus again, so what reference are you taking? From whom? What virus are you talking about that you are matching on this strip? Um, so that's the problem with them. And if it's, I don't want to get too much into technicality. The viral culture test also is not a normal culture test like how we culture other organisms like bacteria, fungi, mold, and all of that. Uh, because I work with soil organisms and with effective microorganisms, which actually plant, they help decomposition of biomatter and all of that. So I work with culturing all these organisms, and so I know what a culture is. And the viral culture test also is not a typical viral culture test; it's something else, and that is also a dubious test. Uh, so all these three tests, from my perspective as a scientist who looks at all the details, uh, neither of these three tests actually isolate the virus. And so people may be getting sick of other things, and there's a lot of detail to it. They could be getting, many people have died of pneumonia. And pneumonia, yes, there's a bacterium. Even I almost died of because my lungs got weak. And the fact is, as you put out more and more harsher and harsher electrical fields and EMF, okay, especially with 5G, that electrical field itself, it comes into your space and it is even 4G. It causes mild inflammation of your tissues and lungs. So you get mild inflammation in your lungs, in your stomach lining, and all of that. And that mild inflammation will take down the immunity of your lungs. And pneumonia bacteria is there everywhere. You see, so whether it's pneumonia or whether it's TB, it comes into your system and then starts multiplying because your own system environment is not strong. So that's exactly what happened to me in 1990. My lungs were strong, right? And for the previous part of the year when I was sleeping on the floor and it was not cold, right? The bacteria would have been there, got into me, but it didn't affect me because my lungs are strong. But when I that cold season came and the chill went into my lungs, that's where my environment went down, and the same bacteria started giving me that condition. Which I mean, I was at the stage of what they call now the cytokine storm. You see, yeah, because I was coughing blood and I didn't have my lungs were filled with cold. So so this is what this more aggressive, very close towers, entire 5G system is doing. It is creating inflammation in the lung tissues, in our digestive tract tissues, and our immunity and strength of those areas are going down. And any germ from the environment can affect you and make you sick. You see, so that is what people why. That's why people are getting flu and all of that. A second friend of mine, one of my best friends in Goa, his brother-in-law died of pneumonia. Never had pneumonia in his life before. Okay, so so this is what's happening. I think it's a combination of this. Too much of electricity is around our place, weakening the immune system of the human body, and then the human body succumbs to various different organisms, and they could be mistaken and just calling it variant this and variant that. In every different country you could have some different kind of mutation of microorganisms that are harmful to the human body. And if you keep on putting 5G all over the place and creating this new permanent electrical field that is more corrosive than what the earlier technologies were, then everybody's immunity is going to go down, and this is going to progress. So for me to solve this entire COVID symptoms that are happening to people on the planet, it needs uh, a group of people or those people who have a equal excellence in health, in microorganisms, in infectious diseases, and they're also domain experts in electrical and magnetic and radiational fields. You see, I at the age of 13, when I was in school, I built my first electric motor on my own. So at 13 years old, I knew what magnets are, electrical fields are, magnetic fields are, power, current, amperage, all of that. Okay, so I've been in the electrical and electronics, magnetics. I've been a scientist right from my early days. And somewhere in 2010, uh, I understood the complete science of how fields and frequencies, when projected and when you live in that domain, of how it can kill microorganisms and how it can kill and damage the tissues of the cells also of the human body or animals and all of that. So I knew this very completely in 2010 because of my research. And most of what is taught in universities and all of that is, it's, I would call it, half of it is fake science. It does not go to this depth of what is real. Um, so, so only once we resolve this, stop electrifying the earth and bringing toxicity into our unnatural energy into our body and diminishing, we're actually damaging the immune system and the energy system and the cellular system of the human body. And by bringing down its immunity, you're going to have a lot kind of parasites damage the human body. So it requires a joint effort in both these to stop this pandemic. Otherwise, it'll just go on. They will keep on installing more and more 5G towers. They're supposed to come at 150, 200 meters everywhere, right? And people are going to get more and more sick. And they're just going to wrongly call it this variant, that variant, Bangladeshi variant, India variant, Sri Lanka variant, and all that crap. Is still going on. It's people who do not know science. Actually, they do not know science, and they have not provided natural solutions to the human body since the last 100 years. How are we expecting them to do the right thing now? It is only scientists who can have the debate on what is actually damaging and what will actually heal. The average doctor does not have any of this knowledge. of this kind of microbiology and this kind of magnetics and all of that. In fact, they are not even in the room. They cannot even be in the room of the discussion. It's totally out of their domain, you see. So, but coming back again and saying that, yes, I respect all doctors across the world who have the intention of, of course, they've taken an oath and they want to help us with health and they're trying to do our best. But this is a time where they need to do more research as well and get to the truth of it. And they need to listen to scientists, independent scientists who have done their own work. Then they will come to understand what is actually damaging the human body now and what they should do and not do to prevent this pandemic from propagating any further.
That is so true. And finally, I have one last question, and this is a spiritual question. What do you think is the purpose of life?
So, purpose of life is, for every individual, it's different and it comes from the place that they are at. You see, if a person is in a place where they want to experience something, but there are a lot of blockages, right? And they have a dream, then their purpose becomes to overcome all these blockages and have their dream. There's a person who doesn't have blockages. They've come into a world where their families are rich. They've had all the education and they've had all of these things. They don't have blockages, you see. So then their purpose of life may be to innovate, to be more creative, to do business, to help others, or a business that will make money for me and my family at the rate of, you know, uh, uh, giving disadvantage to others, right? So people can have, their individual life purposes are pretty different. But at the overall, I would say for humanity as a race, yeah, we are here to experience all of creation that is made by Creator and see its beauty and its functioning. One of the basic things that at least I can say the human majority of human beings on this planet have not learned till date. They've not learned how this entire ecosystem is symbiotic and how it works and how it balances everything out and so it survives in a healthy way. They've not understood that. So they make all these devices and all of these concrete jungle living systems and all of that create so much congestion, pollution, and all of that. And uh, doing things that are damaging the earth. Now we know how badly damaged the earth is. So and compare going back to those earlier time where I said the separation happened between indigenous people and modern people, scientific people, right? Those indigenous people, they still live complete natural lives and they have no carbon footprint. And this is my talk at the Third World Parliament on Spirituality, where the topic was Dharma and the Earth Keepers. Dharma means duty, okay? And when you have to do a duty, you have to do a duty in return to something that you receive, right? So you received life through your parents and when you came out, okay? And then after that, it was your duty to use all natural things in their natural form, have your life, have your fun, and then go move on without doing any permanent damage to the ecosystem. Now, the fact is that all species on this planet, besides the human being, they are abiding by dharma. They live, they drink the natural water, they urinate it out, whatever is excess, they eat the food, they poop out whatever, and everything is organically decomposing into the system and is recycled. Okay, even the indigenous people, once their village comes up, if they're successful, they do all of their things. When they're not successful, it just diminishes, and even their natural homes, whatever their bodies, everything naturally goes to the earth. But in modern life, you will have all of these cars and this plastic all around the place that will not, decompose for the next thousands of years, right? So we take the natural elements, we take the natural air, we put it in a machine in a car, we create so many gases that are difficult to break down and create permanent pollution problems for the planet. So, uh, So the so actually now the first purpose that is put on most human beings who are conscious is basically how to correct all these mistakes that we have done since the time of industrial revolution, right? So that becomes the purpose, because if you don't take up this purpose, then you're going to see a destruction of society, air, water, food, soil, everything, right? So so right, I mean, humanity is in that space where uh, their purpose of life has become to basically correct so many wrong mistakes just to help humanity survive on this planet, right? And I think if there ever comes a time, and this is what we are working towards, through all of these natural sciences, green sciences, with alternative education, which teaches you the actual functioning, you know, unless you teach the actual functioning, organic functioning of the ecosystem and how it's balanced, and to align your actions with them so that you don't cause degradation, right? Uh, that is the real education. That's the first basic education. And if we go in that direction, and do all of our have our life, because what even modern people, what do we want? We want happiness, we want joy, we want family, we want pleasure, we want arts, culture, music, dance, right? Creativity and all. I'm saying all of these things happen in the village also, right? So you can live a very Eco Village in Goa is trying to showcase of how you can have all of these amazing things in a much beautiful, more beautiful way, and rejuvenate the earth. And I guess if we ever reach that stage, whether it's going to happen in a 50 years or 100 years or whatever, um, then what would be the purpose of life? The purpose of life would be to live as per the laws of nature, the laws of God, and to express your creativity, your innovation, your socialism, respecting the different races across this planet, uh, building something beautiful out of it rather than fighting each other by wars and doing all of these race wars, which we can see are very evident in the world today. Uh, so we, right now we are at a very low level of evolution on this planet. That's why that is why we're engaged in all of this destructive work. Um, so so that's yeah, that's purpose of life. And I can see that many philosophies, you see, whatever reality is there, we are intelligent beings and we want to have some sense, we want to be sane. So we will try to place some theory and say all of this is happening because of this. Okay. And then we say, okay, I've said it now, so I am sane. Otherwise, if I cannot explain it, I'm going to go insane. I'm going to have not I'm going to have sleepless nights. So we have this group of people who call Earth as hell. This is a planet of sorrows. We've been thrown over here. This is a test and all of life. So who are this group of people? They come with their gurus also. So the guru and the students, they are all matching the same advice. Okay, so who are these people? They are the people who have not learned the lessons of life, how to get out of hate, revenge, all the negative attributes of human beings, and how to do the right things and create a beautiful society, right? And so when they fail in that, then they say that Earth is it's a test, it's a hell. I want to leave this place and have moksha, enlightenment, go back to the light. I want to be in the lap of Creator itself and sleep over there for the rest of eternity, without understanding that Creator has manifested you out of creation to do something. So here Creator has sent you out and manifested out, and you're saying, no boss, मेरे को वापस आके तेरे गोदी में बैठना है, मेरे को कुछ नहीं करना है, right? So this is the typically the story of the people who have not learned the lesson and have not been successful. Okay. And also, yeah, you have people stuck in a society where the majority have not learned the lessons, so they are stuck in that bad place, right? And then you have you go to these indigenous people in the jungles and you ask them, is life a hell? They will say, no, no, it's very nice, beautiful, nice family life. We get our food, we do this. Only thing is maybe animals try to come. wild animals will bother us, so we keep them out. Mm. And if you ask them, what is your purpose of life? Moksha, bliss, do you want to get out of this hell? They say, no, everything is fine. Then, if you get a chance, would you come back again? Oh, yes, I would like to come back again. Maybe next time I'd like to come back as a lady. I would like to be the king next time. Or I don't want to be a carpenter. I know I want to be a house, something else next time. I want to be a trader. So, this is the story playing out. So, the people who have learned the lessons and know how to create beautiful spaces, they want to come back every lifetime again because it's a blissful and a beautiful experience. So, from the reality that people are experiencing on the planet today, I'm sure 90% of modern people want to get out of here because they're absolutely sick and fed up of what's happening. So it's only when we can all get together and resolve these problems and make this world a better place. Maybe over centuries, the the story will change, where souls will start saying, "We made Earth so beautiful. We made heaven on earth." And I would like to come back here again and experience all of this, because this is a scientific fact that in the spirit world you only have a spirit, but in the physical world I have my spirit, and my spirit can experience all of these things. These nails, this flesh, this beautiful hair that I can do, these wonderful clothes that I can stick to my body. There are a million experiences in this form that you cannot have only in a spirit. So for me, the cutting front edge of science, technology, and creation is a physical embodiment. And so the only thing is, when will we evolve to that level where we can make all of this work in a beautiful way? Yeah.
That's a beautiful lesson, Daryl. And on that note, I'd love to conclude this podcast. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah, thank you so much, Pratham. Happy to be with you, and I hope your audience also enjoy, these things that I have shared. If they want any more information on all of the kind of works that I do, they can go to my website, darryldisouza.com, and hope to hear from them.
All right.